Yo, welcome back to another episode of Putting Two and Two Together. Yes, sir, it's been a minute, but your boy is back. Your boy is back. I've been dealing with some shit, man. New kid. I was sick. Then I had to go to the hospital for some back pain, man. The boy's getting old, but we got it all figured out. 2026 has been off to an awesome but tough start. So one thing I told myself this year was that I was going to continue to keep doing this shit. And here I am, man. So it low-key worked out in my favor because there was a lot of shit that happened while I was gone, making it a lot of stuff that I can talk to you guys about now. And one of those things that happened was the Grammys, y'all. The Grammys happened. And low-key, I'm not a big Grammy dude. Obviously, I see all the nominations that they put out every year. I never watch the show. And I'm curious to know how much of y'all are actually watching the Grammys because I don't watch that shit. I low-key tried this year. They had the YouTube live stream. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it on. I'm going to see what it's about. And they were giving an award away to like contemporary jazz. And then it was like gospel and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, when are we going to get to like the main awards? But I was not aware of how much awards they give out on Grammy night. Everybody gets a Grammy, man, it seems. So I wonder how many nominees there were, but it was insane. I tuned in the middle of the day and I was like, there's no way. So I turned it off and I waited for our news outlet, which is Instagram, Twitter, to give us the details on who won. Okay. Now, the only thing I really care about, y'all, is like record of the year, rap album of the year, R&B record of the year. Those are the only things I really care about. And I see my boy Leon Thomas win an award. Kehlani won an award. Shout out to them. They're huge artists. Leon Thomas, he is an incredible artist, man. I remember watching him in Victorious. You know, if y'all don't know Victorious, man, come on, it's on Netflix. Childhood classic show. I watched him on Victorious and I was like, this dude is going to be so talented when he grows older. Kind of like Ariana Grande. I didn't know Ariana Grande was going to be, you know, as big as she is now. But I was like, every now and then I would check back from the cast of Victorious. I'd be like, yo, where are these guys? And I seen Leon Thomas was producing for big names, you know, Drake, you know, other bunch of big names. And I was like, this guy needs to make an album and it will be incredible. And, you know, over the years, he definitely has made some projects that I skimmed through. But when he made Mutt, I listened to it all the way through and I was like, wow, this album is really, really special. And it deserves all the praise it's getting. It deserves whatever award comes his way, it deserves because it is truly a special album. One of the best R&B albums I've heard in the last decade, for sure, especially that deluxe Heal. Oh, super special. Obviously, we know who else won. Kendrick Lamar. He took home like almost every award that he was nominated in. And I wanted to talk about that because it sparked controversy on the net and I have opinions on it. And I believe that Kendrick Lamar definitely deserves all these awards. Yeah, I think he deserves all these awards. I think when we talk about getting it right, the Grammys have been getting it right in terms of who they've been elected to win. Their nominations on the other end are terrible, okay? And it's hand in hand because Kendrick Lamar should be winning with those nominations. You understand what I'm saying? They've got it wrong so many times in the past. You know, we can always go back to when they gave Macklemore the album of the year, or was it rap album of the year? I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. But ever since then, they've been just handing them out to Kendrick Lamar, as they should. as they should. I think Good Kid, Mad City should have won that year too. But they've been giving him every award since then. Every time he drops a song, every time he drops an album, you can book it that he's going to win. Now, moving on in the future, what I would like to see the Grammys do is get the nominations right. Yeah, they put Clips' album, but that was the only album that I was like, damn, you guys just put GNX and Clips' album in there. I feel like they will never get a good nomination list for Rap Album of the Year. Just based on who's running it. I just don't ever think we will. And we can't be frustrated about that. We can't pay too much attention to the Grammys. Even as I say that right now, I'm trying to get off the Grammys because I felt like I've talked about it for too long. The Grammys is the Grammys, and they'll continue to keep messing it up. It's that simple. In terms of the winners this year, I think Kendrick Lamar deserved it because the nominations itself were terrible. But yeah, that's just my opinion on the Grammys. Hopefully next year they get it right. We'll see. After the Grammys happened, my boy Don Toliver dropped a special project, Octane. Don Toliver, to me, when he dropped Hard Soul and Psycho, that was an album that I had on repeat. It was an album that, I would blast in my car. That shit made me feel like a biker, man. I wanted to go get one of them leather jackets and put a skull on the back and shit, man. That's how heavy I was listening to the album. I was listening to it heavy. This project is a little bit different. I seen that he kind of went, it's given like astronaut, DJ, which is cool. It's cool. What I really like about Don Toliver is that he brings you in this world. He brings you in this world, and the sound matches so incredibly. I remember I turned on E85, and I was like, whoa, like I can feel the vibe that he was going for right away. Kind of similar to a Travis Scott, Utopia, Birds in the Trap, Astroworld. You feel like you're entering another dimension. And that's something that Don Toliver does so well. So a really cool project. In terms of the track list and the songs, quite a few songs. There were some songs that I could do without. However, when the songs hit, they hit. That's the thing about Don Toliver. You could listen to a song and be like, whoa, like floating. And then the next track is like, I feel like I'm gonna have to come back to that. Other than that, though, Don Toliver is someone who is, I see his first week sales. He's doing more than a lot of rappers. And that's a good conversation. Is Don Toliver really a rapper, y'all? I know, everybody's going to say, yeah, but when I listen to his music, I definitely get a different vibe. It's like, I can't explain it. It's more about the sound than it is what he's actually saying. It's more about the vibe. And Travis Scott kind of brought that into the music genre. I don't want to call it rap, what Don Toliver does. It's something special, man. And it's something that you really have to appreciate. You have to have a good ear to listen to this shit, man, because he makes a bunch of, I like to call it late night music, like late night floating, where you're really just kind of vibing out to the sound and his vocals in the back. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Don Toliver special. He's doing numbers as he should. Great for him. I can't believe that, 2026 has already started off with just, great music. A$AP Rocky also dropped his album that I didn't get to talk about, so I'm going to talk about briefly. A$AP Rocky's album was cool. It was cool too. I preferred Don Toliver's album a little bit better, but A$AP Rocky, he's a cool guy. And when people ask me my thoughts on and opinions on A$AP Rocky's Don't Be Dumb, I just say, man, he makes cool music. I've never been a fan of A$AP Rocky that much. A lot of people tell me to go listen to his old tapes, Long Live ASAP and all that. But, you know, I just not the biggest fan of him. And I've heard some of the songs. It's a nice vibe. I just feel like he kind of drifted away from that in this album. I don't know. You ASAP Rocky fans, let me know. I feel like it was a little bit more experimental. And I feel it's risky to do experimental music when you haven't dropped since 2017. This goes into my take, y'all, that I tell you guys that it's really hurting artists when you don't consistently drop music. It's like anything in this world. If I don't consistently do something, then other people are going to take your spot. Other people are going to do what is like new trends are going to happen, new sounds. I feel like ASAP Rocky came back with a sort of similar but new sound. And to me, I just wasn't feeling it as much. I mean, obviously the numbers, his first week sales and his streams were great. But, he did the old trick where you put a old song in that already has a lot of streams and then boom, boom, boom. Now your stream numbers go up. His album rollout, talking about Drake a lot. I just don't like his rollout. He was talking about Rihanna and Drake, and I feel like we gotta let the music be the music. Let your music do the talking. A lot of these artists go on the internet and chat about other things, and it's not their fault because the interviewers, the people that are asking the question, are absolutely terrible. These interviewers need to be stopped. His project was cool, probably something that I won't spin back, but I appreciated the first listen. It was good to hear from the dude, But I just take it as a cool little project. Nothing that that has any replay value for me. In the world of music, off to a good start so far. Off to a great start. I'm really liking what I've seen so far in terms of music. With that being said, this is what you came here for, man. My man J. Cole. If you guys really know me, you know how much I love J. Cole, how much I appreciate J. Cole. The Real is back, and this guy has dropped the album of the year. And I really want to say it's the album of the decade. I really want to say that, y'all. This album is so special. No skips. Two discs of pure lyricism. Am I saying that right? Storytelling, great production. I like J. Cole's vocals. I know a lot of people don't like J. Cole's vocals. Love J. Cole's vocals in that. It was raw, it was authentic. A true ode to hip hop. And that's been, the main conversation online. On the love side of things, the main conversation has been that J. Cole really has mastered his pen and respects the art of hip hop. And we don't see that often. There's only a couple people who can do that. Kendrick Lamar, Drake, J. Cole, the big three that, we so much very, very know. These guys are special. But before we get on to those guys, I want to talk about J. Cole a little bit more because this apparently might be his last album. I know there's been some speculation online saying that he might drop It's a Boy. But in terms of Jermaine Cole, this could be the last time that we hear from him. And I feel like, he said it's like dropping Reasonable Doubt last. I feel like that's what we got. We got his beautiful final project, and it was one of the best things that I've ever heard in my life. So I'm just so proud to be a J. Cole fan. I'm proud of how far he's come, man, because I've been listening to this dude since I really started dissecting and listening to music, which was probably around like 2012 is when I really started listening to his music, and it's genuinely changed my life. It made me be a better man. And I know people are going to say I'm glazing, but I genuinely am thankful for him. And when I talk to my friends, I like to use it as a basketball analogy. J. Cole to me is like LeBron James to the modern era. I think his impact is super special. Just be yourself. That's what I get from J. Cole, and that's what I got from this project. Just be yourself, where you come from, respect where you come from, put your mind to something, put your mind to your craft. And he talks about his lady, his woman a lot that we haven't really heard from or don't know much of, but you can feel it in this album how much he appreciates her. That's my life. I appreciate my lady. I appreciate my woman, my wife, my life partner. I appreciate her. And I feel like J. Cole makes music for dudes like me. You know what I'm saying? So really respect the hell out of this nigga, man. 1000%. He left me with some music that I'm going to be spinning for the next couple of years until he drops some other shit. And if he doesn't, I got all his old catalog to listen to, which is, a combination of, I think, 11 mixtapes, albums, not even talking about some of the EPs that he's dropped, yours truly, whatever the case may be. He's definitely dropped a lot of music. And he's 40 years old, y'all. I couldn't imagine chasing a craft for 20 years of my life. I just couldn't imagine doing it now. I got a kid. You really have to put yourself first and chase your dreams, which is hard to do. That's one thing that I'm really noticing now as I have a child here in this life. It's really hard to go out there and make your imprint. Right? It's hard because you gotta give so much in this life, and it's hard to be selfish sometimes. Sometimes you even be in your own head. So respect the hell out of J. Cole, man. One of my favorite projects ever. I would personally give it like a 9.5 out of 10. One of my favorite albums of all time was by J. Cole, obviously. For Your Eyes Only. Special project for me. That was one of the projects that really changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I felt like this one was a little bit more layered than For Your Eyes Only. That was a conceptual album, but this album was also a conceptual album, but I felt like I got all of J. Cole. I felt like I got Sideline Story J. Cole. I felt like I got For Your Eyes Only J. Cole. I felt like I got Born Sinner J. Cole. I felt like I got the off-season J. Cole. And we got this current version of J. Cole who has mastered his craft. So we got the nitty rhymes, we got, the vocals, the raw vocals, we got the storytelling. Just a perfect way to end his career. And I can go on for hours just talking about how awesome it was, but I think we got to move on because I can go for hours for sure. Super Bowl happened this weekend. And I'm not a big NFL guy, y'all. I'm not a big NFL guy. However, I did watch the halftime show. I know the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots were playing this year. Not rooting for any of those teams. I'm a Baltimore Ravens guy. And I'm not a diehard fan. I know some people might come in, press me in the comments. I'm not a diehard fan. I really just started watching 2 years ago. I probably catch like 5 games a year, if I'm more into basketball, but I'm really trying to dive into the NFL side of things. So if you watch NFL, man, put me on some good podcasts, put me on some videos that will help me get more, I guess, inspired to start watching. But I watched the halftime show this year because I feel like that's always a big thing. I feel like NFL does a good job marketing. Watch the Super Bowl because we have so-and-so performing tonight. And this year, they had Bad Bunny. So I heard all about that. I was like, man, that's an interesting choice. That's a very interesting choice. So I tapped in because I was like, I wonder how he's going to perform, right? He's not doing English, right? It's not like, I don't know. I'm not a big Bad Bunny fan either. I don't really listen to his music, but I see that the cultural impact that he has. But I tuned in this year, and it was definitely a good halftime show. I've only watched about 4 of the halftime shows. Like I said, I just slowly been getting into NFL. But from what I've seen, the way it looked was super dope. The Hispanic culture was definitely involved. I really liked what he was trying to create there. He created a moment that I think was big. And I feel like that's what the Super Bowl is about right now, right? Moments more than the artists. I wanted to talk about the Chris Brown situation because Chris Brown went on the internet and said, he kind of just, threw off Bad Bunny's performance and said, you know what, Super Bowl, you guys need me. Did that on IG. Such a Chris Brown thing to do. I love Chris Brown, but he always goes out and does some shit like this where it's like, man, bro, we can't defend you, bro. Just be, you know what I mean? Just calm down, twin. You'll get your moment. Right now, it's not your moment. And I think Chris Brown is just upset because he's been blackballed. Rightfully so, man. He's been blackballed and he's been put out by a lot of media companies and award shows because of what he's done in his past. And it's rightfully so, I think with Chris Brown, he is super talented. However, moments like that are going to be hard to come around, especially when you're making the case worse for yourself and doing shit like that, making a ruckus on social media. So hard to defend this dude, but I would love to see him in a Super Bowl. I mean, I would love to see it. This dude could perform. One of my favorite artists, he's one person where I separate the art from the person. But it's just not his time right now. It's not his time right now. He'll get a moment. I don't know if it'll be Super Bowl big, but he'll definitely have a moment to go out there and do all his flips and sing his songs because he could definitely do that. He could definitely do that to the highest level for sure. I just think going on social media about it is not the best way to do things. And that goes for anything in life, man. If you don't get what you think you deserve, you can't go on social media and cause a ruckus about it. You're just going to get clowned. It's just going to make things 10 times worse, yo. I promise you. Just from what I've seen, one of the biggest things that, clocks my memory is when Aisha Curry was like, this thing is absolutely rigged after the Warriors lost in the finals to LeBron James. But yeah, don't make a fool out of yourselves by posting things that you didn't get. Let's cut that out. Big weeks ahead, y'all. We got Baby Keem dropping an album, Jack Harlow dropping an album. If you're into hip hop, those are definitely some albums that I'll be checking out. Other than that, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Not too long-winded. Just wanted to get some stuff off my sternum, off my brain, and chat with y'all. Make sure I show face again. I definitely will be staying a little bit more updated on these things and getting the video to drop right away. But if you're here all the way to the end, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We got some more shit coming for you, man. Some more heat, yo. Peace.